Earth, sometimes called the blue planet, is unique for its abundance of water covering 71% of its surface. This water exists in oceans, rivers, lakes, and glaciers, making it essential for life. Of all the water on Earth, the overwhelming majority is in the oceans, at 96.5%. Of the remaining 3.5%, about 2/3 of that water is frozen in glaciers and ice caps. The next most significant portion is groundwater at 1%, stored in soil and layers under the surface. This leaves just 0.03% of Earth's water that belongs to lakes and rivers, the invaluable resource of our planet that makes life possible. Throughout history, early civilizations have only been able to develop around these freshwater sources, such as the Nile in Egypt, the Tigris and Euphrates in Mesopotamia, and the Indus River in South Asia. These waterways provide essential resources for drinking and irrigation, and serve as trade routes and cultural hubs, fostering the growth of agriculture, urbanization, and complex societies. Let's examine one of North America's most iconic freshwater regions, the Great Lakes. These 5 lakes contain over 20% of Earth's surface fresh water, making it an attractive place to establish many large cities. The lakes differ slightly in size, yet each is substantial enough to not be overlooked. However, when we look at the volume of water in each lake, we can spot some clear differences. Lake Superior holds more water than all the other Great Lakes combined. In contrast, Lake Erie's modest 2.1% of the total volume highlights its shallowness, with its deepest point at 210 feet, or an average depth of just 64 feet. With a length of 241 miles, Lake Erie is 20,000 times longer than it is deep. This means that if the lake were scaled down to the thickness of a sheet of paper, it would be 10 times thinner. Naturally, Lake Superior is the deepest of the 5, with its deepest point at 1,332 feet. With the Great Lakes by far the largest lakes in the United States, it would seem like Lake Superior is the deepest in the country. However, that title belongs to this tiny lake in Oregon. While out of the top 100 largest lakes in the US, Crater Lake lies in a volcanic crater, with a maximum depth of 1,949 feet, or an average depth of 1,148 feet, encompassing truly an astonishing amount of water. Let's compare it to the familiar lake, like Lake Okeechobee, the iconic body of water in the middle of the Floridian Peninsula. Crater Lake is easily overshadowed by surface area, but surprisingly it holds more water than all of Lake Okeechobee. In fact, it has more than 3 Lake Okeechobees. It should come as no surprise that Lake Okeechobee is exceedingly shallow, with an average depth of just 9 feet. Returning to the Great Lakes, we can notice Manitoulin Island on Lake Huron, which is actually the largest island in the world on a lake, larger in land area than the country of Luxembourg, so large that it has over 100 lakes itself. However, the second largest island on a lake is far more remarkable. Located in Quebec, René-Lavassier Island on the Manicouagan Reservoir is larger in area than the lake it lies in, the only occurrence of this on the planet, giving the landscape a truly distinctive shape. It's important to note that the lake was originally made of 2 pieces that merged together upon the creation of the Daniel Johnson Dam. However, that shouldn't undermine how unusual this lake appears, especially when you consider the monstrous size of this lake, similar in size to the entire Greater London area. So what's up with this lake? Why is it so ring-like? It's believed that this area is the remnant of an asteroid impact from 214 million years ago. Over time, it was eroded and left this iconic landscape often referred to as the Eye of Quebec. As an impact crater, the Manicouagan Reservoir is substantially deeper than Lake Okeechobee, though it still falls short in depth to Crater Lake. The deepest lake in the world belongs to Russia, Lake Baikal, with a maximum depth of over a mile at 5,387 feet. As the oldest lake in the world, this lake is undeniably remarkable. If it belonged to the Great Lakes, it would only be the 4th largest by surface area but contain more water than all of them combined. Its exceptional depth can be attributed to its location on a rift, slowly being pulled apart by tectonic forces, causing the lakebed to gradually sink deeper over millions of years. The Great Rift Valley in Africa is an example of this, where several deep, narrow lakes have formed. Lake Baikal is unique not only for being the deepest and oldest freshwater lake in the world, but also for being the sole home of the Baikal seal, the only exclusively freshwater seal in the world. Lake Baikal is cold and remote, but not nearly as cold and remote as Lake Vostok, located thousands of feet below the Antarctic ice sheets. Lake Vostok is a massive lake with an average temperature of 27 degrees Fahrenheit, noticeably below the freezing point of water. How can this be possible? The several kilometers of Antarctic ice sheet located directly above the lake administer high pressure onto the lake, causing the freezing point of water to decrease. A byproduct of the lake being so far under the Antarctic surface is that its surface elevation is actually hundreds of feet below sea level, and geothermal heat from the Earth's core help keep it warm. Isolated from the cold Antarctic surface, it is well insulated to keep it a liquid. An exceptionally unique lake, it is the fourth deepest in the world, yet it might just claim the title of the weirdest lake on Earth.